So the portable monitor brand Uperfect reached out to me and asked if I wanted to check out another one of their monitors. And I was like, yeah, go on. This time it's their UMax 21. So here we are with a review unit. So the question is, what's so special about this monitor? Well, it's a 21-inch touchscreen 120Hz portable monitor. I think the focus with this UMax is productivity as opposed to the U-Color that we've previously reviewed on this channel. This monitor here, 16-inch OLED panel, marketed as a gaming monitor. So the first thing to do is to unbox the monitor. So Uperfect kindly sent along a carrying case as it is a portable monitor. So let's pull the lid off. So straight away, there's the monitor itself. We're going to pop it to the side. Here is a charging brick. Unfortunately, I'm in the UK, so I don't think this will work. Some instructions, a USB-C cable, HDMI cable, USB-C to USB-A cable, and another USB-C cable. The monitor itself comes in this plastic sleeve. And in terms of portable monitors, this thing feels quite big, even though it is only 21.5 inches compared to this U-Color that I was sent a few months ago. This is only a 16-inch monitor. As you can see, it's quite a bit bigger, but I'm pretty sure on the website they also sell a 22, 23 and 24-inch version. So this is actually the smallest variant of the UMax. Right, let's have a look at the external design and build quality. Don't need that. All right, so my first impressions are this thing feels really well made. It's completely made out of aluminium. It's also really thin as well. So it's, yeah, the panel's really thin, and then there's like a little bit of a thicker bit at the bottom half where the ports are and all the buttons are. So yeah, in terms of overall build quality, it gets a thumbs up from me. It doesn't feel cheaply made at all, which is always a good thing. It's got reasonably small bezels, but they're not invisible. The screen itself has a glossy finish, which I actually prefer. I think it makes the image look more contrasty. The screen feels reasonably tough, which is important because it is a touchscreen monitor, so you are going to be touching the screen. Let's take a look at the I/O and port selection. So on the right hand side, there's a power button. There's a small almost scroll wheel that you can use to interact with the menu system. And then there is a 3.5mm headphone jack. If we move over to the other side, it has a full-size HDMI port followed by 2 USB-C ports. One is for powering the device and the other is for display. On the back of the monitor, there's 4 screw holes for VESA mounting, which is actually what I've been doing. I've been using this as a second display on my streaming setup, but it also comes with a kickstand and some rubber feet. And this kickstand feels solid. It's made out of aluminium as well. Don't know how well this is going to come across on camera, but it allows you to sort of stand the monitor up at various different angles, which is pretty cool. So we're now going to talk about some of the claimed specs of this monitor. So as I've already mentioned, it's a 21.5-inch 1080p IPS monitor. It also supports up to 120 frames per second, so it may be good at gaming, but we'll test that later on in the video. And one of the main selling points of this particular monitor is that it has a 10-point touchscreen, so it may be interesting to some graphic designers or someone like me that just wants to draw pictures. Uperfect also claimed that it can display 100% of the sRGB color space, which I've got no way of verifying, so I'm going to take their word for it. This monitor also supports HDR, but it's up for debate whether or not it can actually display HDR. You see, the claimed brightness is only about 280 nits, which isn't amazing. Just for reference, a good HDR display can usually go over 1000 nits, so we're quite far off. All right, let's test this monitor out and see how well it performs in a variety of different situations. So as my MacBook doesn't actually have a HDMI port, we're going to connect it over USB-C. Connect that to the MacBook. So the first question I have is, do you need separate power for this monitor? Because I can imagine for a lot of people that might be a deal breaker because it's just more cables that you have to carry around. So my answer to that is yes and no. What I mean by that is if we just plug in a USB-C cable, as you can see, the monitor has powered on and we've got a display. What I've noticed is if you run this monitor without any dedicated power, then the brightness suffers. And with a max brightness of only 280 nits with dedicated power, then this is just not bright enough. This is probably like 150 nits. And if you look down here, we've actually got the brightness on 100%. And you've got to trust me on this. This just probably isn't bright enough unless you're in like a dark room. If you're trying to use this in any room with a window, this is probably going to be uncomfortably dim. So to fix this issue, you have to plug in some dedicated power. So that's what we're going to do now. So I just plugged in some dedicated power. The brightness slider's only gone down to 50%, so we can now drag it all the way up to 100%. So this is a more usable brightness. It's still not super bright. It's dimmer than my MacBook, but I would say this is very much usable. So something I quickly want to test. So there's 2 USB ports on here and 2 USB ports on my MacBook. What happens if we put both USBs, but both of them connected into the MacBook? Is that a workaround? I don't think it likes that, to be honest. So what's happened here is it looks like it's full brightness, but for some reason it's not displaying any image. We're just gonna have a look at the menu system. So you do that by pressing down on this little nipple, and that sort of scrolls through the different menus. So it's pretty basic, so you can choose your inputs, you can change the brightness using the touch screen. So there's contrast and volumes. This actually has inbuilt speakers. This is what it sounds like. If we scroll down, we can do the color balance, change the temperature of the monitor, allows you to adjust the alignment of the screen, and then you can enable HDR. I think that's a gaming mode. I'm not sure exactly what it does. So there you go, it's a pretty basic menu. So I'm now going to hook this monitor up to my streaming setup and we're going to test out the gaming performance. Before filming this review, I did actually have it on this monitor arm. First thing to say is we've plugged in using HDMI, but touch information can't go over HDMI. So I had to connect it via USB to the middle USB port, and that'll allow me to use the touch functionality. And then I've had to power it using another USB. So there's actually 3 cables going into this monitor, which does feel a little bit overkill, but anyway. And I have noticed that the touch does actually work really well. It feels very responsive, which is good. See if they've still got MS Paint. I could imagine this being very useful if you are a creator, because this is very responsive. And I know Uperfect do make a pen that works with this display, so it might be a viable option. If we go into display settings, so yeah, Windows HDR is enabled, so it does recognize that you can play HDR using this monitor. Oh, you can turn the brightness up, which is good. And it does also recognize that it's 120 Hertz. Advanced display, yeah, 120 Hertz. Anyway, let's try some gaming. So this looks okay. Yeah, this looks perfectly fine. It's not the brightest display. It's not got the most vibrant colors. It's definitely nowhere near the quality of an OLED, but for some simple gaming, it's absolutely fine. One thing I did want to test was the pixel response time. Can I see any smearing? I would say that it's probably a 6 out of 10. I am noticing some pixel response time, but that's probably because I'm so used to looking at an OLED panel with basically no ghosting. So I definitely wouldn't buy this as a dedicated gaming monitor, but you can do gaming with it. And the other thing is, because it's touchscreen, you can actually basically play like you're on a massive phone. Large scale Minecraft Pocket Edition. So let's talk about pricing. So Uperfect are pricing this at $500. That's almost as expensive as a new 240 Hz OLED monitor. And this definitely isn't one of those, but this is currently on discount for $350 or about £270, which I think is more of a reasonable price. And if you want to save a further $50, making this only $300, then use the code on screen now or in the description. And you should be able to save yourself a further $50, which is pretty good. In terms of productivity, this monitor is absolutely fine. The fact that you're able to take it anywhere and use it without any external power, just using the battery from your laptop, is very impressive. Word documents and emails look absolutely fine on this display. And I can imagine if you're thinking about picking up one of these monitors, you've probably got a use case for the touchscreen. So in conclusion, should you pick up a UMax 21 touchscreen portable monitor? Well, in my opinion, there's a few things you need to consider. I would only recommend this if you're going to take advantage of it being portable, because if it's just going to stay in one place, for like £100 you can pick up one of these. Here I've got a 1080p 21-inch monitor that isn't portable. So really the question is, are you going to take advantage of it being portable, and are you going to use the touchscreen? Because if so, that's what you're paying for with this monitor. So anyway, if you have enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing, and drop us a like, and I'll see everyone in my next video.